The mirror held a stranger captive, her sapphire ribbon glinting like a secret under the soft glow of my bedroom lamp, her corset-carved curves a lie that felt truer than my own skin. The petticoats frothed beneath her skirt, lace whispering at the hem, while the waist nipper squeezed my breath into a shape I'd only dreamed of in private. As my mom, Karen, tied the ribbon into my hair with fingers that trembled with purpose, I barely recognized the boy buried beneath the frills, until her voice sliced through the quiet. "Ryan, we're one girl short for the square dance show," she said, bursting into my small Atlanta bedroom, where I'd been sprawled with a comic, her eyes alight with urgency and something sharper, like a dare. "Megan's gone. Her husband's job yanked them to Charlotte yesterday, and I told the group I know someone who can fill in. I didn't name you, but they're counting on me, and I think you're the one." I blinked, my comic tumbling to the floor, heart thudding against the corset's grip. "Me? Mom, are you serious? I can't do that." She tilted her head, a teasing smile curling her lips, as if she'd already seen the girl in the mirror and knew I couldn't resist becoming her. "Why not you? You've been sneaking into my closet for years, haven't you? We both know you love those petticoats. You're not too tall, not too broad, and your hair's already long enough to work with. Plus, I think it's time you did more than just play dress-up in secret. Either step up, or maybe it's time to leave this behind for good." Her words hung in the air, heavy with challenge. I swallowed, my mind racing. "Is this that French-themed dance? The one with those fancy outfits like yours?" "Yep, that's the one," she said, her smile widening. "But I can't. I mean, I'd love to help, but I don't have the right stuff. Those dresses show so much. I'd look ridiculous, a flat-chested boy standing next to you and your friends." Karen waved a hand dismissively. "Oh, please. There are plenty of ways to make you look fuller, trust me. We'll fix all that. You won't look like a boy at all. If those are your only worries, they're already solved." "Mom, no, that's not what I meant." "What? Now you don't want to help me?" she interrupted, her tone half teasing, half serious. "I thought getting to dress up for real would make you happy." I was trapped, caught between her plea for help, my secret longing to fully embrace the girl I sometimes saw in the mirror, and the terror of someone seeing me like that. I stared at her, my heart pounding. "You're saying it's my choice?" "Of course," she said softly, her eyes searching mine. "What kind of mom do you think I am?" "It's not that, it's just—" I trailed off, unable to articulate the knot of fear and excitement twisting inside me. "So, what's it gonna be, Ryan? Will you do this for me? Or are you ready to give up this whole dressing up thing?" "Don't tell me you've already stopped, because we both know that's not true." I sat there, my thoughts a whirlwind. Karen had never approved of my dress-up sessions before. She'd always sighed, told me to change, and I'd slink back to my jeans and t-shirts. But now, she was asking me to do it, not just in private, but on a stage, in front of people. The idea was terrifying, but it was also a chance I'd never dared imagine. A stage production meant costumes, lights, an excuse to be someone else. I could be a girl, fully, and no one would question it. My fear battled my desire, and desire won. I nodded, my voice barely a whisper. "Okay, I'll do it." Karen's face lit up, but as she left my room, a wave of panic crashed over me. What had I just agreed to? Why had she even asked me? I paced, my mind spinning with questions, but the decision was made, and there was no going back. The next evening, Karen came home with shopping bags spilling over with treasures. "I got everything we need to turn you into a beautiful young lady," she said, unpacking her haul on the living room couch. She held up each item like a prize. Soft cotton panties, a padded bra, sheer pantyhose, a panty brief to smooth my shape, a waist cincher, a corselet to sculpt my figure, a flowing skirt, a delicate blouse, and low-heeled shoes that gleamed under the light. Then she handed me a breast form, its weight and texture so lifelike I nearly dropped it. "These are just the basics," she said. "Enough to make you feel like a real girl and get you out to try on the dresses we'll need for the show. Tomorrow morning, I want you to shave off any body hair and be ready to start after breakfast. Sound good?" I nodded, my throat tight with anticipation. Common sense should have stopped me, screamed that this was too much, too fast. But the sight of those clothes, the promise of becoming someone new, drowned out every doubt. I grabbed the bags and retreated to my room, my heart racing. That night, I filled the tub and spent hours shaving meticulously, making sure not a single stray hair remained. I rubbed in lavender-scented lotion. The cool cream soothed my skin, and slipped back into my pajamas, already imagining the next day. Morning came, and I was up before the sun, showering, washing my hair, and shaving my face smooth. I slipped into the panties and padded panty brief, the unfamiliar snugness both strange and thrilling. Wrapped in my robe, I padded downstairs for breakfast, expecting Karen to lay out her plan. But she said nothing, sipping her coffee as if this were any other Saturday. I assumed she just wanted to see how I'd look with her help, a trial run to gauge if I could pull this off. I'd always thought I looked passable at best, but her confidence in me was unshakable, and that alone kept me moving forward. In her bedroom, she sat me at her vanity, the mirror reflecting my nervous expression. "Go ahead and start your makeup," she said, her tone matter-of-fact. I reached for the foundation, but she stopped me. "Use the skin lotion first. It'll keep your makeup fresh longer." I followed her advice, smoothing the lotion over my face, its faint floral scent calming my nerves. I applied the foundation, blending it carefully, and reached for the eyeshadow. Again, she interrupted. "Powder first, Ryan. Honestly, I thought you knew this stuff." "So did I muttered, my cheeks flushing. I dusted on the powder, its soft sheen settling over my skin, and glanced at her for approval. She nodded, but her eyes held a spark of amusement, as if she'd known all along I'd need her guidance. As I worked, layering on eyeshadow, eyeliner, and a touch of blush, I felt myself slipping into a new version of me, one I'd only glimpsed in stolen moments. The girl in the mirror was taking shape, and with every brushstroke, I was becoming her. I patted on the powder, as Karen instructed, letting it settle before brushing away the excess with a soft sweep of the brush. The extra steps slowed me down, but the mirror didn't lie. The result was smoother, more polished than anything I'd managed on my own. She stepped behind me, her hands deftly brushing out my hair, letting it fall in soft waves around my shoulders. "Your hair's too short for the look we're going for," she said, pulling a hairpiece from a box. "This fall matches your color perfectly. I'll attach it and style it to blend." The fall, a cascade of chestnut curls, felt heavy as she pinned it to the crown of my head, the combs gripping securely. She wove my own hair into it, brushing and shaping until the style was full and rounded, curling under at the ends in a way that framed my face. With a quick snip, she trimmed my bangs, sweeping them across my forehead, then locked the whole look in place with a mist of hairspray that smelled faintly of jasmine. I stared at the mirror, marveling at how the hair transformed me, softening my features into someone I barely recognized. In my room, Karen handed me a pair of sheer pantyhose. I rolled them on carefully, the fabric cool against my freshly shaved legs. Next came a short slip, its hem brushing my thighs, followed by the skirt a bold mid-thigh number that left me feeling exposed, yet exhilarated. I'd never worn anything so short, and the thrill of it sent a shiver through me. Karen held up the bra and breast forms, her expression neutral. "You've got a choice, honey. Slip the forms into the bra, or we can use the adhesive they came with. The glue means you'll need to stay dressed as a girl for a few days until it wears off. What do you think?" I hesitated, my mind racing. A few days as a girl, fully committed? The idea was daunting but intoxicating. "Just a few days?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "That's what the lady at the store said," Karen replied, her tone steady. "Okay then, let's do it." The words spilled out before I could second-guess them, and I swore I saw a flicker of amusement in her eyes, though her face remained composed. She applied the adhesive with care, securing the forms to my chest, then blended the seams with concealer until they looked like part of me. I slipped on the bra, the weight of the forms settling naturally, followed by the blouse, its soft fabric draping over my new curves. Stepping into the low-heeled shoes, I felt a rush of confidence. I added a swipe of rose-pink lipstick, spritzed on a touch of my favorite vanilla perfume, and clipped on gold hoop earrings I'd borrowed from Karen's jewelry box. The mirror reflected a girl I'd always dreamed of becoming, brought to life by Karen's steady hand and my own daring. "Look at you," Karen said, her voice warm with pride. "You're even prettier than I imagined. Do you have a purse?" I shook my head, embarrassed. I'd never needed one before. She disappeared and returned with a small leather crossbody bag, pulling out an old wallet and handing it to me. "Might as well move your stuff into this," she said. "You're a girl for the next few days, so there's no point pretending otherwise." I hesitated, but her logic was undeniable. I transferred my ID, some cash about $20, and a few cards into the wallet, then tucked it into the purse along with my lipstick and a pack of tissues. I was so caught up in the moment that I almost missed her next suggestion. "Since you're going all in, why not get your nails done too?" she said, her tone casual but deliberate. "We could pick a nice color, have them shaped to look more feminine." I froze, my pulse quickening. "You make it sound like you planned this whole thing," I said, half joking, half accusing. "The glue, the fall, now nails. Did you know I'd say yes?" Karen shrugged, but her eyes sparkled. "I figured you wouldn't pass up a real chance to dress like a girl. And you did jump at it, didn't you? I asked about the glue, and you agreed. You're the one making these choices, Ryan. Don't you like how you look?" "It's not that," I stammered, my cheeks burning. It's a lot." "Do you want the nails or not?" she pressed, her voice gentle but firm. "It's a simple question." My common sense, already crumbling, vanished entirely. "Acrylics?" I asked, the word slipping out before I could stop it. Karen nodded, but I missed the way her eyes widened, a silent warning I'd understand only later. Acrylics weren't like the cheap plastic nails I'd played with. They lasted months, unless you soaked them off, or had them professionally removed, a process I knew nothing about at the time. All I could think was how sleek and polished they'd look, far better than anything I'd tried before. With a beckoning gesture, Karen led me to the kitchen, then out to the car. I froze at the threshold, realizing this wasn't a secret dress-up session. This was broad daylight, in our quiet Atlanta suburb. She tossed me the keys. "You're driving," she said. I slid into the driver's seat, my skirt riding up slightly, and gripped the wheel, my heart hammering. As I pulled onto the main street, Karen spoke up. "You never told me, do you have a girl's name you use?" I glanced at her, surprised she'd asked. "Brooke," I admitted, the name feeling sacred on my tongue. "Can I call you Brooke? It's shorter, easier." "Yeah, sure," I said, a small smile tugging at my lips. "Brooke works." "You know where my salon is," she said. "Let's head there. Diane's great with hair, and the new guy Dale, I think, does amazing nails." I parked outside the salon, a chic little place in a strip mall off Peachtree Road, and followed Karen inside, my heels clicking softly on the pavement. The receptionist waved us in, and soon I was seated at Dale's station. His nameplate read Darlene, with the "Da" penciled in, and he moved with a theatrical grace that put me at ease. He took one look at me and smiled knowingly, his eyes flicking over my outfit. "Nice skirt," he said, his voice warm. As he worked, shaping my nails into gentle ovals, he chatted about my hair, my legs, even the way I carried myself, his compliments disarming my nerves. He painted my nails a rich, brownish red, applying 3 coats and a glossy clear top coat that made them gleam. The longer nails made my fingers look slender, elegant, and when he squeezed my hand as I stood, he whispered, "Come back any time, sweetheart." Karen inspected my nails and grinned. "Darlene did a fantastic job, Brooke. They look perfect. He knew I wasn't a girl, I whispered, my stomach twisting. Of course he did, she said, unfazed. Diane told me he was one of the best female impersonators in the country before he retired. He's seen plenty of boys like you, so don't worry. He's an expert, but most people aren't. You look adorable, trust me. Now let's get you fitted for that dress. The dress shop was a short drive away, tucked into a quaint corner of Decatur. The moment we stepped inside, I felt like I'd entered another world, surrounded by racks of colorful gowns and the faint scent of lavender. The seamstress, a wiry woman named Nancy, sized me up with a critical eye. That dress looks 3 sizes too small, I muttered, eyeing the delicate French-inspired costume she held up. It'll be fine once we adjust your waist, Nancy said briskly. We'll lace you into a proper corset. She pointed to a changing screen, and I slipped off my skirt and blouse, my hands trembling as I stood in just the bra, panty brief and pantyhose. When Nancy gestured at my bra, I froze, clutching it protectively. We need to check the fit, she said, her tone professional but firm. I hesitated, my cheeks burning, but Karen gave me an encouraging nod. Reluctantly, I unhooked the bra, revealing the glued-on forms. Nancy didn't bat an eye, her focus on measurements and fabric, and I realized that, to her, I was just another client. As she laced me into the corset, pulling the strings tight, I felt my waist shrink and my breath catch, but the reflection in the mirror, a girl with a delicate hourglass figure, made it all worth it. Karen's hands worked swiftly behind me, unhooking the bra with a gentle tug, leaving me exposed, the weight of the glued-on breast forms pulling slightly at my skin. I braced for Nancy's reaction, but she didn't flinch, her eyes focused on the task at hand. She wrapped the corset around my torso, fastening the front hooks with practiced ease before pulling the laces tight. The pressure was firm, squeezing my waist into a delicate curve, but it wasn't unbearable. When I caught my reflection in the shop's full-length mirror, I understood why Karen had insisted on the forms. The corset pushed them up, creating a deep, convincing cleavage that made my breath catch. I wasn't just passable, I was striking. Nancy brought out the first dress, a vibrant red and black number that hugged my new curves like it was made for me. 6 layers of petticoats were sewn into the skirt, flaring it out to just above my knees, the fabric swishing with every step. Next came a sunny yellow dress with green petticoats that danced around my legs, followed by an all-white gown accented with blue and red underskirts, each layer adding a playful bounce. Nancy pinned and marked each dress with chalk, muttering measurements under her breath. They'll be ready by Tuesday next week, she said, her tone matter-of-fact. I froze. Tuesday was over a week away, far longer than the few days Karen had mentioned for the glue. But as I glanced at my glossy, brownish-red nails, a realization hit me. With acrylics, I was committed for much longer. The timeline didn't matter as much as I'd thought. As we left the shop, the warm Atlanta sun hit my face, and Karen suggested lunch at a cozy diner on Decatur Square. I slid into the booth, the short skirt riding up slightly, and reached for the menu, ready to order my usual double cheeseburger and fries. Karen raised an eyebrow, her voice low. How tight was that corset, Brooke? Maybe stick to something lighter. Her gaze flicked to the salad section, and I sighed, ordering a grilled chicken salad instead. As the waiter set our plates down, the vinaigrette gleaming under the diner's soft lights, Karen leaned forward, her expression softer than usual. I didn't expect Nancy to need so long for the dresses, she said, picking at her own salad. But that's not a problem now, is it? I frowned, spearing a piece of lettuce. What do you mean? Your nails, she said, nodding at my hands. You asked for acrylics. You knew they last forever, didn't you? It's like you wanted an excuse to keep dressing up. No, I said, my voice sharper than I intended. I only knew they looked better than those plastic ones I used to mess with. I didn't know they'd last so long. Honest, how long do they even stay on? Karen's eyes narrowed, searching my face. If you take care of them, maybe a month between fills. You really didn't know? I shook my head, my stomach twisting. If you knew, why'd you let me get them? You were right there. She sighed, setting down her fork. I thought you knew what you were doing, Brooke. When you asked for acrylics, I figured you wanted to stay a girl as long as possible. I thought you were ready for this. But it doesn't matter now, does it? You've got them, and that means you'll be Brooke for a while, unless they break or you want to soak them off, which isn't fun. You look amazing, though. We'll need to get you a few more outfits, but I don't see why you can't do this. And honestly, isn't this what you've always wanted? Her words hit like a punch I hadn't seen coming. She wasn't wrong, but admitting it felt like exposing a piece of my soul I'd kept hidden, even from myself. I didn't answer, focusing instead on my salad, but her suggestion of more clothes sparked a suspicion that grew as the day unfolded. After lunch, we hit a boutique in Midtown, the kind of place where pop music hummed softly and the air smelled faintly of citrus. By the time we got home, our arms were laden with bags: 2 more skirts, a pair of slim-fit jeans, 3 blouses, a pullover top, a knee-length dress in soft teal, a lightweight jacket, and 2 pairs of shoes, 1 flats, one with a modest heel. The total came to just under $300, reasonable for the quality, but each item felt like a brick in a wall Karen was building around my new identity. Back in my room, I tried on the new clothes, twirling in front of my mirror as the red skirt flared around my thighs. I was pulling on the pullover top when I felt a sharp snag. A chip broke off one of my nails. Panic flared, but Karen was calm when I showed her. "Head back to the salon," she said, tossing me the car keys. "Darlene will fix it." I drove to the salon, my heart pounding as I stepped inside, the bell above the door chiming softly. Darlene spotted me immediately, his smile warm and knowing. "Break a nail, dear?" "Yeah," I said, sheepish. "I guess I'm not used to them yet." "Let's get it fixed," he said, leading me to his station. As he filed and reshaped the nail, his voice took on a conspiratorial tone. "This is your first time being a girl for more than a few hours, isn't it?" I blushed, glancing around to make sure no one was listening. "Is it that obvious?" "Not to most people," he said, his eyes kind. "But I notice the little things. If you're going full-time, you'll need to adjust how you walk, how you use your hands, your arms. Mannerisms matter, Brooke. People might not clock you as a guy in a dress, but they'll sense something's off if you move like one. There are ways to solidify your presentation, though. Did you know there are devices that can make you look so realistic down there that no one would question you?" My eyes widened. "No way! Did you use one of those?" He chuckled, shaking his head. "Back in my day, I did it the hard way tucking, which hurts like you wouldn't believe. I don't recommend it." We made our own breast forms, 2 old tights stuffed with rice, soaked in water, and a touch of starch to hold the shape. Hours of work to get the color right, then spirit gum to stick them on. Things were different then. We didn't show as much as folks do now, so it was easier to pass. He applied the final clear coat, his grin widening. "Let me guess your mom roped you into this, didn't she?" "Yeah," I admitted, surprised at how easily he'd read the situation. "How'd you know? A play or something?" "Something like that. She said none of the other women had daughters to fill in, so she asked me." Darlene raised an eyebrow. "And that didn't strike you as odd? She knew you liked dressing up, so she dangled the perfect excuse, and you went for it, didn't you?" I nodded, a mix of embarrassment and realization washing over me. "Yeah, she did. But I wanted it so bad, I didn't think it through." "Then she did you a favor," he said, his tone softening. "If being a girl is what you want, lean into it. Become so convincing that no one, not even your mom, can doubt you. Watch how women move, how they sit, how they talk. Copy them. Practice. And that device I mentioned? There's a shop in Buckhead that sells them. Discreet, high quality. Think about it." As he finished, I stared at my repaired nail, gleaming under the salon's lights. Darlene's words echoed in my head, stirring a resolve I hadn't felt before. Driving home, I decided I'd visit that shop tomorrow, determined to commit fully to Brooke. But beneath my determination, a thread of anger simmered. Karen had set me up, hadn't she? Darlene's question had cracked open a truth I'd ignored. There had to be other girls eager to join the dance group, yet she'd chosen me. She'd always been annoyed when she caught me in her clothes, her sighs heavy with disapproval. So why this elaborate plan? Was it a test, a punishment, or something else entirely? Back home, I slipped into the teal dress, its soft fabric hugging my corseted waist, and studied myself in the mirror. The girl staring back was beautiful, confident, real, but she was also me, and for the first time, I wondered if Karen had seen her all along. Maybe she hadn't just pushed me into this, she'd given me a chance to become who I was meant to be. The anger faded, replaced by a quiet determination. I'd show her, Darlene, and everyone else, that Brooke wasn't just a role. She was me, and I was ready to embrace her fully. The questions swirled in my mind like leaves caught in a gust. Why had Karen pushed me to become a girl? And why now? I had no answers, only the echo of Darlene's advice. Become the best girl I could be, in every way. With acrylic nails, a padded panty brief, and breast forms glued to my chest, I had a foundation. But the real work lay in mastering the details, the walk, the gestures, the confidence. I decided to keep my suspicions about Karen's motives to myself, letting her think I was still in the dark. The next morning, I rose early, slipping into the teal dress from the boutique, its soft fabric hugging my corseted waist. I applied my makeup with care, following Karen's lessons: lotion, foundation, powder, then eyeshadow, eyeliner, and a touch of blush. The fall cascaded over my shoulders, its curls bouncing as I moved. At breakfast, Karen barely glanced up from her coffee, her silence louder than words. She left for work, and I dialed the number Darlene had given me, scribbling down directions to a discreet shop in Buckhead. The shop was tucked behind a row of upscale boutiques, its plain storefront betraying nothing of what lay inside. A young woman, maybe a few years older than me, greeted me at the door with a warm smile and led me to a private room where an older woman waited. Her name tag read Denise, and when I mentioned Darlene, her face lit up. "Darlene's one of our favorites," she said, handing me a glossy booklet. "We offer a full range of products, all designed to give you a seamless, undetectable feminine appearance. How can we assist you today?" I explained my setup: the glued-on breast forms, the padded panty brief, the hair fall, and Denise nodded thoughtfully. "Let's take a look," she said, leading me to a fitting room. I stripped down, my cheeks burning as she examined my current prosthetics with a professional eye. "We can do better," she said, selecting items from a shelf. She showed me a range of breast forms and prosthetic panties, each more lifelike than the last. "I assume you want the best we offer?" "Yes, ma'am," I said, hesitating. "But how much will it cost?" "Let's worry about that later," she said with a reassuring smile. "Let's get you fitted first." For 2 hours, Denise worked with meticulous care, matching colors to my skin tone and adjusting each piece for a perfect fit. When I stepped in front of the mirror, I gasped. The new breast forms were flawless, blending into my skin without a hint of a seam. The prosthetic panty was a marvel, molding to my body so naturally that it seemed I'd been born with it. Every curve, every detail, screamed authenticity. I was a girl, undeniably, from head to toe. As I dressed, the absence of that bulky, padded feeling was a revelation. My underwear fit like it was meant to, and the confidence it gave me was electric. When I emerged to ask about the cost, the shop was eerily empty. Denise and the young woman were gone. The counter deserted. Confused, I left a note with my phone number, promising to call, and headed to my car. On impulse, I swung by the salon to show Darlene, but the receptionist said he was out for the day. Instead of going home, I drove to the Lenox Square Mall, a sprawling hub of shops and chatter. If Karen had an agenda, it was time she saw just how far I could take this. I wandered through stores, picking out a daring peignoir set with a sheer robe and thong panties for $65, a red and white bikini for $40, and a pair of denim hot pants for $35. Each purchase felt like a declaration: Brooke was here, and she wasn't hiding. At home, I slipped into the bikini, marveling at how the prosthetic panty made it fit like a second skin. The mirror reflected a girl ready for a beach day, her confidence unshakable. I heard Karen's car pull into the driveway and swapped my flats for white heels, touching up my lipstick with a bold coral shade. Taking a deep breath, I strode into the kitchen, where Karen was setting down her purse. Her eyes widened, her mouth falling open as I grabbed a soda from the fridge and popped it open with a casual flick of my wrist. I turned, letting the bikini's vibrant colors catch the light, and smiled. "Is this what you meant when you said to be the girl I wanted to be?" I asked, my voice steady. Karen stammered, her gaze darting over me. "How? Those aren't the breast forms I bought. Where did you... how?" "A friend told me about a place," I said, leaning against the counter. "I went this morning, and they fixed me up. No one can say I'm not a girl now, can they? I can't have a baby, but it looks like I could, and that's what matters to me." I slid into a chair across from her, crossing my legs with a practiced ease I'd been perfecting. It was time for answers. "Mom, why was I your first choice to fill in when Megan quit? Don't tell me you couldn't find anyone else that's nonsense. There are tons of girls who'd kill to join your show. So why me? I want the truth this time." Karen sighed, her shoulders slumping as she set her coffee mug down. "Your father's coming," she said, her voice heavy. "I got his letter about a month ago. He left before you were born, so he never knew I had a son. I never told him. Over the years, he kept threatening to take you away, but he always said he didn't want a daughter. When you were 6, I told him you were a girl to keep him at bay. Now that you're 18, he's decided to meet his daughter. If he found out you're a boy, I don't know what he'd do to me or you. That's why." I stared at her, the weight of her words sinking in. "But what if I didn't want to be a girl? What would you have done then?" "I'd have sent you to stay with your aunt in Savannah and told him you left because you didn't want to meet him," she said, her eyes glistening. "I couldn't risk him taking you." "Why didn't you just tell me from the start?" I asked, my voice rising. "Why all this secrecy?" "I was scared," she admitted, her voice breaking. "I thought if you knew, your curiosity might get the better of you. You might want to meet him, maybe even leave with him. I couldn't lose you, Ryan Brooke. When we were married, I didn't know he was the kind of man who demanded total control, who'd hit me to enforce it. I couldn't let him influence you, couldn't let him hurt you. Encouraging you to dress as a girl was the only way I could think to keep you safe, to hide you in plain sight. Your love for dressing up just made it easier." I leaned back, processing her confession. The anger I'd felt toward her softened, replaced by a mix of sympathy and resolve. "Well, you got what you wanted," I said, my tone firm but not unkind. "I'm hiding in plain sight now, but I'm not stopping anytime soon, maybe ever. Not after this." I gestured to the bikini, the flawless curves beneath it. "Look at me, Mom. Tell me I can't do this." She shook her head, a faint smile breaking through. "You're right. You look perfect. That bikini says it all. How'd they do it?" "Let's just say Brooke is here to stay," I said, keeping the details vague. "When my father gets here, I'll be ready for him." Karen's expression darkened. "Be careful, honey. He's not above hitting women. Remember that." "Don't worry," I said, a spark of defiance in my voice. "Under all this, I'm still me. If he tries anything, he'll regret it. When's he coming?" "About a month, I think," she said. "He didn't give a specific date." The air between us was thick with unspoken emotions, but I needed to move forward. "The panties molded to fit me," I explained, breaking the tension. "It lets me do almost anything a girl can, except the obvious. The breast forms are sensitive if someone presses hard. I can feel it." Karen's eyes widened, but she just nodded, telling me to put on something less revealing. I slipped into the new jeans, their snug fit accentuating my curves, and cut the hem of a white tee to show a sliver of midriff. Over dinner, Karen's gaze lingered on me, but I focused on my plate. determined to stay in control. Then she dropped another bombshell. "You're out of school now," she said, her tone firm. "Regardless of how you look, you need a job. Start looking tomorrow." I nodded, the weight of her words settling in. Brooke wasn't just a costume or a shield, she was my life now, and I had to live it fully. The next day, I'd start job hunting, but first, I'd get my hair styled. Maybe at Diane's salon, to lock in Brooke's look. My father's arrival loomed like a storm, but I was ready to face it not as Ryan, but as Brooke, the girl I'd always been inside, now free to shine. The morning sun filtered through my bedroom window as I slipped into a tailored navy skirt and a cream blouse, the fabric soft against my skin. I stepped into low heels, their gentle click a reminder of the confidence I was cultivating as Brooke. With my purse slung over my shoulder, I headed out into Atlanta's bustling streets, determined to find a job. I had no clear plan, only a willingness to try anything that would let me live fully as the girl I was becoming. I started at a sleek office tower downtown, its glass facade reflecting the city's pulse. Working my way up from the first floor, I knocked on doors, inquired at reception desks, and left my name with anyone who'd listen. By the fifth floor, I was starting to feel the weight of rejection when I stepped into a cluttered office that looked like it had been hit by a tornado. Papers spilled across the desk, files teetered in haphazard stacks, and a man in a rumpled suit stood amid the chaos, his hair as disheveled as his workspace. "You look like you could use some help," I blurted without thinking, my hand flying to my mouth. He glanced up, his tired eyes lighting with surprise. "Break time. 1. Unsees. My secretary quit last week, and yeah, you're right. I'm drowning here. Looking for a job?" "That's why I'm here," I said, my heart leaping. "Can I start now?" "Absolutely," he said, gesturing to a desk buried under papers. "Get settled, then find a file labeled Watson. I'll be in my office. Name's Michael, by the way. And you are?" "Brooke. But everyone calls me Brooke," I replied, already rolling up my sleeves. "Great, Brooke. You're hired. I'm in there if you need me." Whoever Michael's last secretary was, she had no grasp of organization. It took me nearly 30 minutes to unearth the Watson file, buried in a pile on the floor. Determined to bring order to the chaos, I began sorting the files alphabetically, discovering that Michael was an importing agent handling everything from textiles to electronics. The drawers were a mess, stuffed randomly, and I spent the day reorganizing, ignoring the desk's clutter for now. At 5 sharp, Michael emerged, rubbing his eyes. "It's a disaster, I know. I'm sorry. See you at 8 tomorrow." "Michael," I called as he turned away. "How much does this job pay?" He scratched his chin. "Starting at $8.50 an hour, but I'll bump it up if this works out." "Fair?" "Fair," I said, then hesitated. "Can I wear jeans tomorrow? This place is dusty." "No problem," he said with a grin. "Just get me the files when I need them." That night, over dinner, I told Karen I'd landed a job and committed to her square dance production. Her eyes softened, but she only nodded, as if she'd expected nothing less. The next morning, I arrived at the office in slim-fit jeans and a fitted blouse, diving back into the files. By noon, I'd tamed most of the chaos, each folder neatly labeled and accessible. I paused for a coffee, the office quiet except for the hum of Michael's computer. He hadn't left his office all morning, but at lunchtime, he emerged, asking for a file. I pulled it from the cabinet and handed it over without a beat. "That's impressive," he said, flipping through it. "I've never gotten a file that fast. Can I buy you lunch?" "I brought one, thanks," I said, holding up my sandwich. "But I appreciate it." "You're doing great, Brooke," he said, surveying the office. "This place hasn't looked this good in ages." "If it was so bad, why didn't you fire her?" I asked, curious. He sighed. "She was a major client's daughter. Firing her would have caused trouble." He left for lunch, and I tackled the desk, spraying it with cleaner $5 a bottle at the drugstore and wiping away layers of grime. It took 3 rounds to make it shine. I moved to the file cabinets and tables, scrubbing until they gleamed, then tossed out stacks of outdated magazines, some from 3 years ago. By week's end, I'd rearranged the desk to shield the computer from sunlight glare, spritzed the room with a $3 lavender air freshener, and organized each file's contents by date. My first paycheck, at $8.50 an hour, felt like a victory for a high school grad. Twice a week, Karen and I attended dance practice, where I discovered the joy of the routines. The high kicks sent my petticoats swirling, their rustle a thrill that made me laugh despite myself. 3 weeks into working for Michael, I returned to Diane's salon for a full makeover. My hair, now just long enough, was styled into a short, feminine bob that framed my face. Darlene redid my nails, the brownish-red polish gleaming under the lights. As I sat across from him, he beamed. "You look ravishing, dear," he said, his voice warm. "Thanks," I said, then leaned in. "Can I ask you something? Why was the shop in Buckhead empty when I left?" "I've been twice, and no one's there." "How do I pay for this stuff?" Darlene's eyes twinkled. "Consider it a gift from me. Nothing wrong with them, is there?" "No, they're perfect," I said, stunned. "But no one's ever done this for me before." "It's my gift to you," he said. "All I ask is that you pay it forward, help someone like us when the time comes." "I will," I promised, my voice thick. "Thank you, Darlene." "Tell me about your new job," he said, though I hadn't mentioned it. I spilled everything: Michael's chaotic office, my organizing frenzy, the dance practices, and my father's impending visit. When I mentioned his history of violence, Darlene's brow furrowed, his expression darkening. "Be careful," he said as he finished my nails. I hugged him, paid the $45 salon bill, and headed home, my heart full. As I stepped into the house, I heard Karen's voice, tense and low, talking to someone. Then I saw him, my father, Robert. He stood tall, about 6 feet, his frame lean but not frail, his thinning dark hair unkempt. Stubble shadowed his jaw, and he wore faded jeans and a polo shirt, his presence filling the room with an uneasy weight. "Robert, this is Brooke," Karen said, her voice strained. "Got a hug for your old man, honey?" he said, stepping closer, his grin too wide. "No," I said, holding my ground. "I don't know you. Why are you here? We're fine without you." His grin faltered. "That's no way to talk to your daddy, girl. Maybe I should—" "You can try," I cut in, my voice steady. "But you won't like it. Maybe you should leave." "Your mama's been filling your head with lies," he said, his tone hardening. "All true, I'd guess," I shot back, my pulse racing. "You've got a mouth like her," he said, stepping forward, his grin returning. I backed up, gripping my purse by the straps. "Just want a kiss, girl. Nothing wrong with that." "I'd rather kiss a toad," I snapped. Karen's voice cut through. "Maybe you should go, Robert. Brooke doesn't want to know you, and neither do I." "You think I'm leaving after meeting my daughter for the first time?" he said, his voice rising. "Just the two of you who's gonna make me?" The doorbell chimed, sharp and unexpected. I opened it to find Michael, his rumpled suit a stark contrast to the tension in the room. "Michael, come in," I said, relief flooding me. "This is my father. Showed up for the first time ever and won't leave." Michael stepped inside, his calm demeanor a steadying force. "I see," he said, positioning himself between us and Robert. "Brooke and her mother want you to leave. Why not go without a fuss?" Robert's eyes narrowed, his fists clenching, as if sizing Michael up. For a moment, I thought he'd try something, but he hesitated, then scoffed. "All right, I'll go, but I'll be back." "Not wise," Michael said coolly. "I'm their attorney. I'll have a restraining order filed by 9 tomorrow if you insist." Robert's jaw tightened, but he turned and stormed out, the door slamming behind him. I exhaled, my knees weak, and Karen sank into a chair, her face pale. Michael turned to me, his expression softening. "You okay, Brooke?" Yeah? I said, my voice shaky. Thanks for being here. How'd you know to come? Stopped by to drop off some files, he said, holding up a folder. Heard the shouting from outside. Figured I'd check in. Karen stood, her hands trembling. Thank you, Michael. I don't know what he'd have done. Glad I could help, he said. I'll get that restraining order ready. Brooke, take tomorrow off if you need it. I'll be there, I said, determination hardening. I'm not letting him scare me. Michael nodded, leaving us in the quiet aftermath. Karen looked at me, her eyes searching. You were brave, Brooke. I'm proud of you. I meant it, I said. I'm Brooke now, and I'm not hiding. Not from him, not from anyone. She nodded, a faint smile breaking through. I see that. You're stronger than I ever imagined. The next day, I returned to work, the office's newfound order a comfort. I filed papers, answered calls, and kept Michael's schedule tight, my nails clicking on the keyboard. Dance practices continued. The petticoats swirl a reminder of the joy Brooke brought me. Darlene's words echoed pass it forward. I didn't know how yet, but I would. My father's shadow lingered, but with Karen, Michael, and Darlene in my corner, I was ready. Brooke wasn't just a role, she was me, and I was building a life that was mine, one fearless step at a time. Robert's departure left the air lighter, as if the house itself exhaled. Michael lingered, his presence a steady anchor after the storm. The reason I stopped by, he said, pulling a form from his briefcase, is that when I submitted your tax deductions, the name I got back didn't match. Brooke isn't the name on record. Did you mix up your name or number, or is there something else going on? My stomach twisted. The truth I'd kept tucked away was unraveling. I gestured to a chair, and as Michael sat, I took a deep breath. The name you got is my legal name, I said, my voice steady despite the nerves. I've always wanted to be a girl, and I'm living as one full-time now. Brooke is who I am. Karen nodded, her eyes soft but firm. It's true, she said, turning to Michael. Does it matter how she dresses? Michael leaned back, a grin spreading across his face. Are you kidding? I couldn't care less. Brooke can wear whatever she wants. For the first time in years, I've got someone who actually runs the office like a pro. He looked between us, his grin widening. I'm a lawyer. You know, import-export's just more fun. Brooke, have you thought about legally changing your name? You're 18, and it'll align your records. I can help with the paperwork. My heart leapt. I'd love that, I said, the idea of Brooke becoming official sparking a quiet joy. Michael's expression sobered. I want to make sure you're both safe after today. Karen assured him our phones were programmed with emergency contacts, including the police. As he spoke, I noticed a spark in Karen's eyes, a warmth I hadn't seen in years. Michael, about her age, stood 5'10", with green eyes and dark curly hair, a contrast to Robert's menacing edge. When he left, Karen and I sat in silence, the weight of the day settling around us. He likes you, Mom, I teased, breaking the quiet. And he's cute, she scoffed, but her cheeks flushed. He's probably married, and I'm not looking. He's not, I said, smirking. I checked. Kids? She asked, her voice betraying curiosity. No pictures on his desk, I said. I can ask. No, don't, she said quickly. I'm not interested. But her eyes told a different story, shadowed by Robert's visit. The next morning at work, Michael handed me a name change form. I signed it, my hand trembling with excitement. It'll be official in a few days, he said, retreating to his office. Curiosity got the better of me, and I followed. Michael, I said, hovering in the doorway, can I ask something personal? Sure, he said, leaning back in his chair. Are you married? He smiled, catching on. Your mom, right? I thought I saw something in your eyes, so... No, Brooke, I'm not married, he said, his voice softening. I was, a long time ago. She was on the 93rd floor when the plane hit. Our daughter was on the 92nd. Both gone. His pain hung heavy, explaining the bare desk. I nodded, returning to my work, my heart aching for him. At 5, I headed for the elevators, my heels clicking on the tile. The doors were closing when Robert stepped out, blocking my path. His stubble darker, his eyes glinting with malice. "You're just like your mama, girl," he sneered. "Sassy mouth." "Stay away from me," I said, my voice firm despite the fear creeping in. "Just want to take my daughter to dinner," he said, stepping closer. "Go away," I snapped. "I don't know you and I don't want to." "You need someone to teach you respect," he growled, looming over me. "Maybe a good spanking'll fix that." "You wouldn't dare," I shot back, my pulse racing. "Your friend ain't here now, is he said, his grin predatory. "Get out of my way," I shouted, backing up. He lunged, but I was ready, kicking his shin hard. He stumbled, grabbing my arm and pulling me close. Instinct took over. I reached down, grabbed him where it hurt, and squeezed with all my strength. He yowled, loosening his grip, but then I heard a click. A knife flashed, slashing toward me. I dodged, but he lunged again, the blade grazing my leg. Pain seared through me as I stumbled, blood pooling on the floor. "Stay away from Brooke," Michael's voice cut through, calm and lethal. "She needs manners," Robert roared, turning on him. "She needs you gone," Michael said, unfazed. Robert charged, knife raised, but Michael sidestepped, fluid as water. Robert spun, wild, and the blade sank into my leg, deeper this time. I screamed, collapsing, my vision blurring. Michael's foot connected with Robert's head, dropping him cold. As darkness closed in, I heard Michael calling 911, his voice steady but urgent. I woke in the emergency room, a thin gown draped over me, IVs snaking from my arms, monitors beeping. No Karen, no Michael, just nurses and a doctor checking my chart. Groggy, I slipped back into unconsciousness. They'd operated to close the gash, high on my thigh, just below my hip. When I woke again, the doctor stood over me, his expression a mix of concern and curiosity. "You gave us a scare, Brooke," he said. "When I started surgery, I found latex. That panty of yours fooled everyone." "What happened?" I mumbled, my head foggy. "You were stabbed," he said. "1/4 inch below the hip fold. I repaired the damage, you'll be fine. In a month, you'll be back to normal." "Michael?" I asked. "He's with your mom," he said, smiling. "Ready for visitors?" Karen and Michael entered, hand in hand, their faces bright with relief. They explained Robert's arrest for assault with a deadly weapon, his blood alcohol just shy of legal intoxication. My prosthetic panty was gone, cut away during surgery, leaving only the breast forms. I felt exposed, vulnerable, but Karen's voice steadied me. "You'll be home in a few days," she said. "Darlene called she might visit." "Your job's waiting," Michael added. "Don't worry about the files, I'll keep them tidy." Exhaustion pulled me under, and I drifted off mid-conversation. 4 days later, I limped home, the pain a dull ache but manageable. I was whole, and that was enough. The next day, while Karen was at work, Darlene arrived, her presence a burst of warmth. "You look like hell, Brooke," she teased, setting a salon bag on the table. "Thanks," I said, rolling my eyes. "Just what I needed to hear." "No, dear," she said, her tone softening. "You need your hair and nails done, and a chat with a tired old drag queen." In the kitchen, Darlene trimmed and styled my hair into a sleek bob, her scissors snipping with precision. She repainted my nails, the familiar brownish red gleaming anew. Her gentle touch and soothing voice drew me in, and I listened closely. She knew the path of boys becoming girls, her wisdom hard-earned. "They cut away your panty, didn't they?" she asked, her eyes kind. I nodded, my throat tight. "During surgery. It's gone." She squeezed my hand. "You're still Brooke. That panty was a tool, not your truth. You've got everything you need right here." She tapped my chest, over my heart. "Keep practicing your walk, your voice, your confidence. You're already further than most, and when you're ready, I'll get you another panty, my gift, like before. Just keep passing it forward. Tears pricked my eyes. I will, I promised. Thank you, Darlene. She shared stories of her own journey, mistakes and triumphs, urging me to embrace every moment as Brooke. Your father's a bully, she said, her voice firm. But you're stronger. You faced him twice and won. Don't let him dim your light. When she left, I felt renewed. Her words a map for the road ahead. Karen noticed the change at dinner, her smile tentative but proud. Michael called, she said. Your name change is official. You're Brooke now, legally. The news settled over me, like a warm blanket. Brooke was no longer a mask, she was me, in every way that mattered. Work resumed, the office a haven of order I'd crafted. Dance practices brought joy, my petticoats swirling with each step. Robert's trial loomed, but with Michael's restraining order and Darlene's guidance, I felt untouchable. Karen and Michael grew closer, their quiet glances a promise of something new. I watched, hopeful, knowing Brooke's life was just beginning, a life built on courage, love, and the truth I'd claimed as my own. The petticoats blossomed beneath the skirt, their frothy layers pushing the hem wide, a delicate lace fringe teasing the air below. The skirt, tailored to perfection, hugged my waist cinched tight by the waist nipper, creating an illusion of delicate smallness. The corset, firm yet not punishing, drew my chest inward, sculpting curves where none had been. As my mom, Karen, threaded a sapphire blue ribbon through my hair, I caught my reflection in the mirror. The girl staring back was unfamiliar, her silhouette soft and feminine, her features softened by the ribbon's gentle bow. Only a keen eye would spot the boy beneath the frills. In our modest Atlanta home, my occasional forays into girls' clothing were an open secret, though I kept them rare and confined to my room. It was a sanctuary where I could twirl in a skirt or drape a scarf over my shoulders, free from scrutiny. I never went all out, and I certainly never stepped outside. But one quiet afternoon, everything changed. I was sprawled on my bed, lost in a comic, when Karen burst in, her eyes sparkling with urgency and a hint of mischief. Ryan, you know the square dance show we're putting on at the community center? She said, barely pausing for breath. One of our dancers, Megan, had to drop out. Her husband got transferred to Charlotte yesterday. We're short a girl, and none of us have daughters to step in. I told the group I might know someone. I didn't say it was you, but they're counting on me, and I think you're the one for it. I blinked, my comic slipping to the floor. Me? Mom, are you serious? I can't do that. She tilted her head, a teasing smile curling her lips. Why not you? You've been sneaking into my closet for years, haven't you? Those petticoats are your favorite. You're not too tall or broad. Your hair's long enough to work with, and it's time you did more than play dress-up in secret. Step up, or maybe it's time to leave this behind. Her words hit like a dare, heavy with expectation. I swallowed, my mind racing. Is this that French-themed dance? With those fancy dresses like yours? That's the one, she said, her smile broadening. But I can't, I protested, my voice cracking. I'd love to help, but I don't have the right stuff. Those dresses show so much. I'd look silly, a flat-chested boy standing next to you and your friends. Karen waved a hand dismissively. There are ways to make you look fuller, trust me. We'll fix that. You won't look like a boy at all. If that's your only worry, it's already solved. Mom, no. That's not what I meant. What? You don't want to help me now? She interrupted, her tone half teasing, half serious. I thought dressing up for real would make you happy. I was trapped, caught between her plea, my secret longing to fully embody the girl I saw in the mirror, and the fear of being seen. My heart pounded as I met her gaze. You're saying it's my choice? Of course, she said softly, her eyes searching mine. What kind of mom do you think I am? It's not that, I stammered, grappling with the tangle of fear and excitement. It's just... So, what's it gonna be, Ryan? She pressed. Will you do this for me? Or are you ready to give up this dressing up thing? Don't tell me you've stopped, because we both know that's not true. My thoughts swirled. Karen had always disapproved of my dress-up sessions, her size urging me back to jeans and t-shirts. Now, she was asking me to embrace it not in private, but on a stage, under lights, before an audience. The idea was terrifying, yet it was a chance I'd never dared imagine. A performance meant costumes, an excuse to be someone else. I could be a girl, fully, without question. Fear battled desire, and desire won. I nodded, my voice barely audible. Okay, I'll do it. Karen's face lit up, but as she left my room, panic surged. What had I agreed to? Why had she chosen me? I paced, questions churning, but the decision was made, and there was no turning back. The next evening, Karen came home with shopping bags overflowing with treasures. I got everything to make you a beautiful young lady, she said, unpacking her haul on the living room couch. She held up each item like a prize. Soft cotton panties, a padded bra, sheer pantyhose, a panty brief to smooth my shape, a waist cincher, a corselet to sculpt my figure, a flowing skirt, a delicate blouse, and low-heeled shoes that gleamed under the light. Then she handed me a breast form, its lifelike weight startling me. These are just the basics, she said. Enough to make you feel like a real girl and get you to the dress fittings. Tomorrow morning, shave off any body hair and be ready after breakfast. Sound good? I nodded, my throat tight. Common sense screamed this was too much, too fast. But the sight of those clothes, the promise of transformation, drowned out doubt. I grabbed the bags and retreated to my room, my pulse racing. That night, I filled the tub and shaved meticulously, ensuring not a single hair remained. I smoothed lavender-scented lotion over my skin, its cool touch calming, and slipped into pajamas, already dreaming of the next day. Morning came, and I was up before dawn, showering, washing my hair, and shaving my face smooth. I slipped into the panties and panty brief, their snug fit both strange and thrilling. Wrapped in my robe, I padded downstairs for breakfast, expecting Karen to lay out her plan. But she sipped her coffee in silence, as if this were any other Saturday. I assumed she wanted a trial run to see if I could pull it off. I'd always thought I looked passable at best, but her confidence kept me moving. In her bedroom, she sat me at her vanity, the mirror reflecting my nervous expression. "Start your makeup," she said, matter of fact. I reached for the foundation, but she stopped me. "Lotion first, it keeps the makeup fresh." I smoothed on the floral-scented cream, its calming scent steadying me, then applied foundation, blending carefully. When I reached for the eyeshadow, she intervened. "Powder first, Ryan. I thought you knew this." "So did I muttered, cheeks flushing. I dusted on the powder, letting it settle before brushing off the excess, and glanced at her for approval. Her nod held a spark of amusement, as if she'd anticipated my mistakes. The extra steps slowed me, but the mirror showed a smoother, more polished look than I'd managed alone. Karen brushed out my hair, letting it fall in soft waves. "Your hair's too short for the look we need," she said, producing a chestnut hairfall that matched my own color. She pinned it to my crown, the combs gripping tightly, and wove my hair into it, shaping a full, rounded style that curled under at the ends. She trimmed my bangs, sweeping them across my forehead, and sealed the look with jasmine-scented hairspray. In my room, she handed me pantyhose, which I rolled on carefully, the fabric cool against my shaved legs. A short slip followed, its hem grazing my thighs. Then the skirt, a bold mid-thigh number, that left me feeling exposed, yet exhilarated. I'd never worn anything so short, and the thrill sent a shiver through me. Karen held up the bra and breast forms. "You've got a choice, honey. Slip the forms in or use the adhesive. The glue means you'll be a girl for a few days until it wears off." "What's it like?" I hesitated, the idea of days as a girl both daunting and intoxicating. "Just a few days?" I asked softly. "That's what the store said," she replied, her tone steady. "Okay," Let's do it, I said, the words spilling out. A flicker of amusement crossed her eyes, though her face stayed composed. She applied the adhesive, securing the forms to my chest, then blended the seams with concealer until they were part of me. I slipped on the bra, the form's weight settling naturally, followed by the blouse, its soft fabric draping over my curves. Stepping into the heels, I felt a surge of confidence. I added rose-pink lipstick, a spritz of vanilla perfume, and clipped on Karen's gold hoop earrings. The mirror showed a girl I'd dreamed of becoming, brought to life by Karen's guidance and my own daring. "Look at you," Karen said, her voice warm with pride. "You're prettier than I imagined. Got a purse?" I shook my head, embarrassed I'd never needed one. She returned with a leather crossbody bag, pulling out an old wallet and handing it to me. "Move your stuff into this. You're a girl for a few days, so no point pretending otherwise." I transferred my ID, $20 in cash, and a few cards, tucking the wallet into the purse with my lipstick and tissues. Caught in the moment, I nearly missed her next suggestion. "Since you're all in, why not get your nails done?" she said, her tone deliberate. "Pick a nice color, shape them feminine." My pulse quickened. "You make it sound like you planned this," I said, half joking. "The glue, the fall, now nails. Did you know I'd say yes?" She shrugged, eyes sparkling. "I figured you wouldn't pass up a real chance to be a girl. You jumped at it, didn't you? I asked about the glue, and you agreed." "You're making these choices, Ryan. Don't you like how you look?" "It's not that," I stammered, cheeks burning. "It's just a lot. Do you want the nails or not?" She pressed gently. "Simple question." My common sense vanished. "Acrylics?" I asked, the words slipping out. Karen nodded, but I missed her widened eyes, a warning I'd grasp later. Acrylics weren't like the plastic nails I'd played with. They lasted months, unless soaked off, a process I knew nothing about. All I saw was their sleek allure. She led me to the car, tossing me the keys. "You're driving!" I slid into the driver's seat, my skirt riding up, and gripped the wheel, heart hammering. As I pulled onto Peachtree Road, Karen spoke. "You never told me, do you have a girl's name?" I glanced at her, surprised. "Brooke," I said, the name feeling sacred. "Can I call you Brooke? It's easier." "Sure," I said, a smile tugging my lips. "Brooke works." "Head to my salon," she said. "Diane's great with hair, and the new guy Dale does amazing nails." The salon, a chic spot in a strip mall, buzzed with chatter. At Dale's station, his nameplate read Darlene, the "Da" penciled in. He moved with theatrical grace, his smile knowing. "Nice skirt," he said warmly. As he shaped my nails into gentle ovals, he complimented my hair, legs, and poise, disarming my nerves. He painted them a rich brownish red, 3 coats plus a glossy top coat, making my fingers look slender. He squeezed my hand, whispering, "Come back any time, sweetheart." Karen grinned at my nails. "Darlene did a fantastic job, Brooke." "He knew I wasn't a girl," I whispered, stomach twisting. "Of course," she said, unfazed. "Diane says he was a top female impersonator before retiring. He's seen plenty like you, so don't worry. Most people aren't experts. You look adorable. Now let's get you fitted." The dress shop in Decatur smelled of lavender. Nancy, the wiry seamstress, eyed the French-inspired costume. "Looks 3 sizes too small," I muttered. "It'll fit once we adjust your waist," she said, pointing to a corset. Behind a screen, I shed my skirt and blouse, trembling in my bra and pantyhose. When Nancy gestured at my bra, I froze, but Karen's nod urged me on. I unhooked it, the glued-on forms exposed. Nancy didn't blink, focusing on measurements. Karen unhooked the bra fully, and Nancy laced me into the corset, pulling until my waist shrank. The mirror showed deep cleavage, a delicate hourglass figure. Nancy fitted 3 dresses, a red and black number with 6 petticoats, knee-length and vibrant, a yellow dress with green petticoats, playful, and a white gown with blue and red underskirts, each layer bouncing. She marked them, saying, "Ready by next Tuesday." Tuesday was over a week away, longer than the glue's few days, but my nails signaled a longer commitment. Outside, Atlanta's sun warmed my face. Karen suggested lunch at a Decatur Square diner. I craved a cheeseburger, but her nod to my corset led me to a $12 grilled chicken salad. As we ate, she leaned forward. "I didn't expect Nancy to need so long for the dresses, but that's no issue now, is it?" I frowned. "What do you mean?" "Your nails," she said, nodding at my hands. "You chose acrylics. You knew they last forever, right? Like you wanted to keep dressing up." "No!" I snapped. "I just knew they looked better than plastic ones. I didn't know they'd last. How long?" Her eyes searched mine. "A month between fills, if you care for them." "You didn't know?" I shook my head, stomach churning. "Why'd you let me get them? You were there." "I thought you knew, Brooke," she sighed. "When you asked for acrylics, I figured you wanted to be a girl as long as possible." "But it's done. You'll be Brooke for a while unless they break or you soak them off, which is a hassle. You look amazing, though. We'll get more outfits, but you can do this. Isn't this what you've always wanted?" Her words hit deep, exposing a truth I couldn't voice. I focused on my salad, but her mention of clothes sparked suspicion. After lunch, we hit a midtown boutique, spending $300 on 2 skirts, slim-fit jeans, 3 blouses, a pullover top, a teal dress, a jacket, and 2 pairs of shoes, flats and heels. Each item deepened Brooke's world. At home, I tried on the red skirt and pullover top, twirling before my mirror. A snag chipped a nail, sparking panic. Karen was calm. "Back to the salon. Darlene will fix it." At the salon, Darlene spotted me. "Break a nail, dear?" "Yeah," I said, sheepish. "Not used to them." As he repaired it, he leaned in. "First time being a girl for more than a few hours, right?" I blushed. "That obvious?" "Not to most," he said kindly. "Mannerisms matter. Adjust your walk, gestures. People won't clock you as a guy, but they'll sense something if you move like one. There are devices to make you look fully female, realistic, undetectable." My eyes widened. "Did you use one?" He chuckled. "I tucked the hard way painful, not recommended. We made breast forms from tights and rice, soaked in starch, glued with spirit gum. Easier then. We showed less. Your mom got you into this, didn't she?" "Yeah," I admitted. "How'd you know?" "A play?" "Sort of. She said no one had daughters, so she asked me." He raised an eyebrow. "That didn't seem odd?" "She knew you liked dressing up, dangled the chance, and you took it." I nodded, embarrassed. "I wanted it so bad, I didn't think." "She did you a favor," he said softly. "If this is you, own it. Be so convincing no one doubts you. Watch women copy their movements. There's a shop in Buckhead for those devices. Discreet, top quality." His words ignited resolve. Driving home, I planned to visit the shop, but questions about Karen's motives lingered. Why me? Why now? Her past disapproval made her plan feel like a setup. At home, I slipped into the teal dress, its fit perfect, and vowed to become Brooke fully for me. The next morning, I dressed in the teal dress, applied makeup, and styled the fall. Karen left for work silently. I called the Buckhead shop, jotting down directions. The plain storefront hid a world of transformation. A young woman ushered me to Denise, who smiled at Darlene's name, handing me a booklet of prosthetics. I described my setup, and Denise led me to a fitting room. I stripped, and she selected new breast forms and a prosthetic panty, matching my skin tone. "The best we offer?" she asked. "Yes," I said, hesitating. "How much?" "Later," she said. "Let's fit you first." 2 hours later, I stood before a mirror, stunned. The breast forms were flawless, the panty molded so naturally I seemed born with it. No trace of Ryan remained. Dressing felt effortless, my underwear fitting like a second skin, but the shop was empty when I emerged. I left a note with my number and drove to the salon, finding Darlene absent. On impulse, I hit Lenox Square, buying a $65 peignoir set, a $40 red and white bikini, and $35 hot pants each, a bold step into Brooke's identity. At home, I slipped into the bikini, the panty making it fit perfectly. Hearing Karen's car, I swapped to white heels, touched up my coral lipstick, and strode into the kitchen. Her eyes widened as I grabbed a soda, popping it open. "Is this what you meant by being the girl I wanted?" I asked, smiling. "How? Those aren't my breast forms," she stammered. "Where?" "A friend's tip," I said, sitting across her. "I went this morning. No one can say I'm not a girl now, can they? I can't have a baby, but it looks like I could. Now, why was I your first choice when Megan quit? Don't say you couldn't find anyone. There are plenty of girls who'd jump at it. Why me?" "The truth." Karen sighed, shoulders slumping. "Your father's coming. I got his letter a month ago. He left before you were born. Never knew I had a son. He threatened to take you, but he didn't want a daughter. When you were 6, I told him you were a girl to keep him away. Now you're 18. He wants to meet his daughter. So, if he knew you're a boy, I don't know what he'd do to us. That's why." I stared, the truth sinking in. "What if I didn't want to be a girl?" "I'd have sent you to Aunt Nancy in Savannah, said you left to avoid him," she said, eyes glistening. "I couldn't risk him taking you." "Why not tell me?" I demanded. "I was scared," she admitted, voice breaking. "I thought you'd be curious, maybe leave with him. I couldn't lose you. He was controlling, violent. I couldn't let him shape you. Dressing as a girl hid you in plain sight. Your love for it made it easier." Anger softened to understanding. "You got your way," I said. "I'm hidden now, but I'm not stopping, maybe ever. Look at me, Mom. Tell me I can't do this." She smiled faintly. "You're perfect. That bikini proves it. How'd they do it?" "Brooke's here to stay," I said, keeping it vague. "When he comes, I'll be ready." "Be careful," she warned. "He hits women." "I'm still me underneath," I said defiantly. "He'll regret trying. When's he coming?" "About a month," she said. "No exact date." I explained the molded panty and sensitive breast forms, easing tension. She told me to cover up, so I slipped into jeans and a cropped tee. Over dinner, she said, "You're out of school. Get a job. Start tomorrow." The next morning, I wore a navy skirt and cream blouse, heels clicking as I hit downtown. In a tower, I reached the 5th floor, finding Michael's chaotic office. "You look like you could use help," I said, and he hired me on the spot. I organized his files, learning he was an importing agent. By week's end, I'd transformed the office, earning $8.50 an hour. Dance practices were joyful, petticoats swirling with high kicks. 3 weeks later, I got my hair styled into a feminine bob and nails redone. Darlene gifted the prosthetics, asking I pay it forward. I shared my job, dance, and father's threat. His concern lingered as I hugged him goodbye. At home, I found Robert, my father, his presence menacing. "Got a hug for your old man?" he asked. I refused, our exchange escalating until he moved toward me. Karen demanded he leave, but he refused until Michael arrived, threatening a restraining order. Robert left, vowing to return. Michael revealed my legal name mismatch, and I confessed my truth. He didn't care, offering to change my name legally. He ensured our safety, and I saw Karen's interest spark. The next day, I signed the form, and Michael shared his loss, his wife and daughter in 9/11. At day's end, Robert ambushed me, his knife slashing my leg. Michael knocked him out, calling 911. In the ER, the doctor found my panty during surgery, but saved me. Karen and Michael, now closer, said Robert was arrested. Home after 4 days, Darlene visited, styling my hair and nails, sharing wisdom. "You're Brooke, panty or not," she said. "Keep shining." She offered another panty but questioned my path. "Is that what you want?" she asked. "You're young, and with your name changed, you're aiming to be a real girl, right?" I nodded, heart racing. "Of course." She leaned back, eyes kind but firm. That panty gives a false sense of self. If you want to be a real woman, you need courage to let experts help. In a relationship, you'll want to feel their touch, not silicone. I know someone the best. Want to meet her? Yes, I said, eager. Thank you. Tomorrow, she said. Bring your mom. The next day, we returned to the Buckhead shop, meeting Dr. Carter, Darlene's friend. After a thorough exam, she sat us down. Darlene only brings serious candidates. Are you serious, Brooke? Absolutely, I said. My procedure is unique, was 100% effective, she said. Ready to begin? Yes, I said, pulse pounding. She administered a shot, saying I'd know when to return. 9 days later, my body began changing my manhood, shrinking, my breasts aching. After 3 weeks, I shed the breast forms, my panties fitting naturally. 2 months in, I had my own curves breasts, hips, thicker thighs, smooth skin. I returned to work, took college courses, and watched Karen and Michael grow closer. 8 months later, I revisited Dr. Carter. After a checkup, she whisked me to surgery. 10 hours later, I woke, knowing it was done. A week in her care, and she sent me home. Your transformation is complete, Brooke. Be the woman you are. 2 weeks later, I felt normal and visited the salon, but Darlene was gone. Diane said she'd left, her task complete. The loss stung. Darlene had been my guide. At home, I heard giggles, then saw Karen and Michael emerge from her bedroom, their closeness undeniable. I missed the dance show, recovering in the hospital, but we all found what we sought. Karen and Michael found love. I became Brooke fully, legally, truly, and Darlene's wisdom carried me forward. Break time 1. Robert was gone, his threat neutralized. Now I seek a young soul like me, ready to embrace their truth, so I can pass on Darlene's gift and help them shine.